Hi everybody, this video is a response to a comment by Jason of All Trades in his recent video about making a pouch. I said I can make a pouch with hidden seams, lined pouch with hidden seams, and so this is how I do it. So what I've got is my outer material, that's waxed cotton, and my lining material, that's just plain nylon ripstop. We also need a length of zip. This is number 3, which is a pain to work with, but it's all I've got. You'll need the zipper pull, and then some sort of tag for the end, and a brand label if you have it. So, start off, separate the zip, and you want the good side of the fabric. This is actually pretty much double-sided, but that doesn't matter. And so the zip, you want the teeth facing the good side, and then on top of that you want to sandwich your lining material and then stitch all the way along there. Okay, once you've done one side, you can go and line up the other side. Remember, zip teeth need to be facing downwards onto the right side of the outer material. I use these binder clips, these quilting clips, to clip things. Now what's important on the other side is you're going to need to leave a gap, which for your ten in the bag inside out at the end, which you'll see in a little while. So you want a reasonable size gap, enough to get your hand in. So I'll mark it out with some clips there, and then just stitch up to the first clip, and then leave a gap, and then stitch the second. So once that's finished, turn the whole thing inside out. And with the side that's stitched all the way along, you want to ensure that the top material is lined up with the edge of the zip. The nice thing about waxed cotton is it holds a good crease. And then you want similar on the other side, so just make sure that your lining fabric is folded over, and then just top stitch all the way along there. And then you want to repeat for the other side, but remember that you still got to leave a gap. So we'll fold the top fabric over, fold the lining fabric over, and we want to mark it, the gap, with our clips again to make sure that we don't close that gap, which we're going to need later. And the plan is, once we've finished, there won't be any seams because they'll be hidden by the top stitch. You might see a little bit of back stitching, but nothing too significant. So quite straightforward so far. We've got one side completely stitched, back and front, and the other side we've left a gap. So now what we want to do is put the zip on, and anyone that's used these tiny zips will know this is an utter nuisance. So I will edit out the swearing, and hopefully with the magic of editing we'll come back to a nicely attached zip. Okay, sometime later we have our zip attached. Now this gets a little bit complicated. First of all, what we want to do is fold the bag in half so we can find where the opposite corner is. And then just with a pair of scissors, you want to snip that corner. Or you can mark it with a pen or a pen if you like, but snipping is easier and you won't see the dent later. So now what you want to do is pull the lining out so the whole bag is inside out with the zip in the middle. Okay. So what you want is a loop with your top fabric and a loop with your bottom fabric, and then you want to line up those marks with each other through the zip. Right, so this is all quite straightforward so far. So now you've got two ends of the bag, and you want to put your zip pull, your pull tab at this end, and you want that in between the two bits of the outer fabric, and then we can just stitch across this. You don't need to worry too much about back stitching, because we'll be cutting the corners off at some point anyway. I like to double stitch just to give it a bit more strength. And then on the other end, you want to put your label in. Again, in between the layers of the top outer fabric, and stitch across. Okay, so that's our basic bag, and now comes the tricky bit. Okay, so what you now want to do, cut a little square of paper as a template, or we can use a ruler, and then on each corner you want to mark a dot, and this is where the notch would be. So now what you want to do is take a pin, you want to stick it through all four layers, and what we need to do is make sure that we've marked on all four layers where that pin mark is. Okay, once we've done that, this is where the difficult bit comes in, and initially it will look like utter horror. So you have the mark on the lining and the mark on the outer, and those need to line up. See, we've got a mark there. I'm just going to trim this zip off because it's in the way. I need to bring that mark round, like so. Put a clip on that. And then these two remaining ones, again, they need to be clipped together. And you'll see, although it looks like an utter mess at the moment, we have got that nice flat portion there between the marks, and we can just sew across like you would in a normal box pouch. And again, you might want to double stitch this. If you haven't got a needle positioner on your machine, I suggest you buy one because they are fantastic for this sort of thing. Okay, so that's one corner done, and you see the bag looks like crap at the moment, and we need to repeat that for all 4 corners. Okay, so after you've done all 4 corners, which is really fiddly on a small bag like this, you should end up with absolute horror show of a project, but don't worry because it will all resolve itself. So what we want to do now is just cut these corners off. And if you want, you can seal across the stitching. You don't have to because it will be hidden. Alright, and here comes the fun part. So you think, well, there's no way that this is going to turn into a bag. You need to look through the side, and then you'll find eventually that little gap that you left. And you want to push the entire bag through that hole. This is where the strength of your stitching will really show, and you'll see it just looks like you've screwed it up, looks like an utter disaster. But wait, try not to drop it. Again, this is where a bigger bag with a bigger gap makes things a lot easier. This is quite a small fiddly little pouch that I've made. So you'll see already it's beginning to take shape. And there we have our lined box pouch with hidden seams. So you see on the inside, seams hidden, on the outside, seams hidden. And then all we've got left to do, just to finish it off, is to ensure that the outer material and the inner material are nicely folded over the gap, and then you just want to top stitch the gap up. And there, dear hearts, is our finished lined pouch.